Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive, absolute clash of philosophies that's literally reshaping how software gets built. Anthropic didn't just tweak a model here, they handed Claude Code a literal army of autonomous subagents. And Google? Well, their response wasn't just some minor update. They scrapped their old playbook entirely and dropped a totally new platform, Antigravity 2.0. We're looking at two entirely different visions for the future of development, and we're going to break down exactly how they stack up.
Now, here's the hard truth that a lot of folks haven't quite wrapped their heads around yet. If you're still treating these tools like jumped-up autocomplete engines that just spit out boilerplate functions, you're already behind the curve. The era of the passive coding assistant, it's over. Done. We aren't just sitting around asking who writes better code anymore. We're asking totally new questions about autonomy, deep workflow integration, and serious scale. So, let's make sure we're on the exact same page about the new paradigm we've stepped into. Both of these tools are now full-blown AI agent platforms. What does that actually mean? It means they can take a high-level engineering mission, autonomously plan out the architecture, execute the actual code generation, run their own internal reviews, and then verify the entire project. It's an active process, not a passive one. It's a fundamental power shift between human and machine.
All right, here's our roadmap for the explainer today. 1. The new agent era. 2. Real-world workflows compared. 3. Limitations and rough edges. And finally, 4. The final verdict.
Section 1. The new agent era. Dynamic workflows versus the OS model. Let's look at the completely different core updates driving these new releases.
Let's kick things off with Claude Code. The absolute headline feature here is dynamic workflows. Instead of just one AI chipping away at an isolated task, Claude acts like a master orchestrator. It maps out a complex plan for a massive engineering mission, and then, honestly, this is the wild part, it spawns dozens or even hundreds of parallel subagents to execute that plan all at once. Say you need a deep security audit. Instead of spending hours prompting back and forth, Claude just spins up separate agents to scan different parts of the codebase simultaneously, and boom, surfaces one clean, consolidated report. Combine that with their new auto mode permission system for way more autonomy, and it's a beast. Plus, running under the hood is Claude Opus 4.8. It's a genuine leap. It catches subtle bugs, and crucially, it actually knows when it's stuck. Instead of confidently hallucinating some garbage that breaks your build, it pauses and flags you for human intervention. A real game changer.
All right, flip over to Google, and it's a totally different ballgame. Antigravity 2.0 isn't even trying to go toe-to-toe with Claude on raw coding muscle. Instead, they're pushing what we can call the OS model. Google's whole pitch is that AI agents shouldn't just be typists, they should operate like an operating system. Think about it. You don't write code for an OS, right? You coordinate processes. And Antigravity 2.0 leans hard into this. You get a standalone desktop app, a brand new CLI, and a full SDK. It's purpose-built for multi-agent orchestration and scheduled background tasks. And hey, it's Google. So naturally, it's got incredibly deep, native hooks baked right into Google Cloud, Workspace, and the enterprise infrastructure teams are already living in.
Section 2. Real-world workflows compared. Theory into practice. Let's see how these mental models actually hold up when it's time to ship real software.
This is where Claude Code really flexes. Picture this. You've got a gnarly 40,000-line legacy Node.js backend that absolutely has to be migrated to TypeScript. Usually, that's weeks of pulling your hair out over broken types and dependency hell, but with Claude, Step 1, initialize a dynamic workflow and set your strict TypeScript constraints. Step 2, deploy the army. Claude sends out subagents in parallel. Some are untangling dependencies, others are actively rewriting service files, someone else is scaffolding tests. Step 3 is the secret sauce. Claude runs Opus 4.8 self-verification loops, cross-checking logic as the agents finish up. It flags edge cases and notes anywhere it's uncertain. And Step 4, you get a pristine, pull request-ready diff, fully annotated. What used to take days of mind-numbing manual work is just handled.
Now compare that to Antigravity 2.0 tackling a full-stack MVP build from scratch. Let's say you're a lean team spinning up a SaaS tool. Step 1, launch an orchestrated session right in the Antigravity desktop app. Step 2, it spins up parallel tracks. But notice the shift here, it's not just writing code. One agent is off researching competitor tools, another is drafting up high-level architecture docs, while a third handles the repo scaffolding. Step 3, set up scheduled tasks. It runs automated deployment checks in the background every time a PR is merged. No active monitoring needed on your end. And Step 4, your output isn't just a code dump. You get a working MVP, the deployment pipeline, and the handoff materials, the whole shebang.
So if you want to lock this fundamental difference into your brain, think of it like this. Claude Code is the ultimate senior engineer. It goes incredibly deep into the weeds of logic, debugging, and raw code execution. Antigravity 2.0, though, that's your technical product manager, who just so happens to come with their own dedicated AI staff. It's all about orchestration, planning, and keeping the whole machine moving forward.
Section 3. Limitations and rough edges. The reality check. Look, there's a ton of hype out there, so let's pump the brakes for a second and take a totally objective look at where both these platforms are currently falling short.
Okay, reality check time. Claude Code's dynamic workflows, absolutely amazing, but they are incredibly computationally expensive. When you spin up hundreds of agents, you are chewing through API costs like crazy, not to mention the latency. If you throw it at a simple task, it is massive overkill. Also, keeping all those agents perfectly aligned on a huge, fast-moving codebase is tough, and if you don't lock down that auto mode with strict guardrails, it might just confidently refactor a bunch of code you never wanted it to touch. On the other side, Google's Antigravity 2.0 has an immature third-party ecosystem right now. The SDK is fresh out of the oven, so you don't have that rich community template library Claude enjoys. Plus, forcing users to migrate off the old Gemini CLI to the new Antigravity CLI, super disruptive. Nobody likes having their pipelines broken. And honestly, for pure, deep-in-the-weeds refactoring, Antigravity's raw code comprehension is still noticeably weaker than Claude's.
Which brings us to this quote. Do you want a system that thinks like an engineer or a system that thinks like an engineering organization? We're literally watching the entire IDE paradigm shift in real time. And this right here, this is the core choice you have to make.
Section 4. The final verdict. Depth versus scale. It's time to figure out which of these actually belongs in your workflow.
To boil it all down, these platforms are solving very different problems for very different builders. Claude Code is hands down the definitive benchmark for depth. If you need raw coding horsepower, complex reviews, deep debugging, or you're wrestling with massive legacy migrations, Opus 4.8 and dynamic workflows make Claude pretty much untouchable. But if you need scale, if your day-to-day is about agent orchestration, managing long-running background tasks, coordinating different disciplines, or if your team is already living deep inside the Google ecosystem, then Antigravity 2.0 is a seriously heavy hitter that's only going to get better.
So as these platforms get exponentially more powerful, what's it going to be? Depth or scale? Do you want one AI that deeply understands every line of your code, or a coordinated system of agents managing your entire process? That's the real fork in the road right now. I really want to hear what you all think about this, so please like, share, and subscribe, please, and drop a comment in comment box. I read every single one. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and we'll see you in the next one.